please welcome former Chicago Mayor, President Obama's former Chief of Staff and ABC News contributor, Rahm Emanuel. Welcome back, Rahm.
Hey, Wibba, how are you?
So, I'm pretty good. So
Good.
Here's the first question. Americans got about 99 days to make a decision on who they want to be our next president, right? So what do you think people should be paying attention to right now? Should it be, how fast one side gets stuff done, or what are the things that people should be paying attention to?
I think there's elections in the end of the day come down to, should you stay the course or should you make a change? And I think that, who is presenting an agenda that is prospective to the future. And I think that's, if you look at the last 3 or 4 weeks, one of the things that take away, a lot of people are looking at the vice presidential stuff, the virus, what's going on in Portland, Seattle. I think the vice president's done, Joe Biden's done a great job laying out a comprehensive agenda to the future, something Donald Trump hasn't done. The second piece is to the character, the competence, and the capabilities of the two individuals. And I've worked closely, obviously, with Joe Biden, and I think he has exactly what it takes to both bring America together, stop looking for things that we disagree on, and start finding and identifying the things we agree on to project to that future. And I think that stands in direct contrast to what President Trump has done. And I do, in the end of the day, I used to say this to President Clinton and President Obama, if we knew in the first year of the first term what we knew by the first year of the second term, we'd be really geniuses. And nobody is really totally prepared for the presidency, but the vice president has, like Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush and others, the best kind of on-the-job training to understand the magnitude of the challenges, the power of the office, and the ability of that microphone to bring Americans and find common foundation. And I think in this time where we're really kind of tearing ourselves, that somebody that has a soothe that brings us together, finds our identity, and then can see a future and drive towards that and bring everybody together, that's what I would look at. I mean, politics in the tactical will happen. That's what I look at.
Okay, Ron. So let's go here. In the last week or so...
That was like, okay, Ron, enough of that. Like, let's move on. Let's get into Tabasco sauce.
It's only an hour show. Okay. We have a lot of questions for you. So the last week or so, Trump has done a total 180 on masks. He's brought back his daily coronavirus briefings, and he canceled the in-person Republican convention in Jacksonville that he so desperately wanted. Now, you told the New York Times, quote, "We've got 100 days left, and the reality TV star just got mugged by reality. Brilliant." End quote. So probably Trump is starting to realize that the polls are turning on him, that the country is turning on him, and that he's losing. What do you think he's going to do next? That scares me a little bit.
Well, that's just one aspect. Well, first of all, let me say on this. I think on the virus and his handling of it in his administration, the die is cast. He can do any 180 change he wants, but that's not going to change people's perceptions. They have a view. He mishandled this, and they see that. And let me say this. If you look at his numbers, take a look at the Governor Abbott in Texas, who was riding high, mishandled that, dropped. The governors that are handling the virus well, looking and working hard at it, they're rising in the polls, and I think that tells you something. So I don't think he can handle changing people's perception. And I will say one other thing. This is not the first time he flip-flopped. On the other issue, he said he was, at the beginning of this, he was going to be a wartime president. This is not how you prepare the country all in on battling something like this. So I think on everything, the die is cast. Second thing, I think the American people also have passed a judgment the way he is handling both the economy as well as what's happening on the streets across urban America. He's being the force. They look for a president to actually be somebody that solves problems, not the source of problems. And right now, he is being seen as the generator of problems, not the generator of solutions. And that is continuing to erode and undermine where he is. And Donald Trump can't get out of his own way as far as, and to his new press conferences, I would just say this. If you're going to do 2 hours, Mr. President, and you're listening, please do 3, because I want the American people to have more of Donald Trump. I mean, really, do you think at this moment that what's missing for his kind of political survival is what people don't have at this point is more of Donald Trump? And so he is his own worst enemy at this point. And I think that's going to be the problem for him. And I do think, as I said earlier, this election is either change or status quo, and there's nothing about what's going on that you say, let's stay on this course and path. And that's why he's flip-flopped.
Rahm, I don't disagree with that, but that being said, the Biden campaign has reportedly declined another Fox News Sunday interview with Chris Wallace. This is obviously on the heels of Chris Wallace's now infamous Trump sit-down a few weeks ago. But Wallace says he's going to keep asking every week. I think Biden needs to sit down with anybody. I think the idea that he's possibly not going to do the debates and not going to do any kind of real sit-down interview with journalists that maybe isn't as friendly as the ones he's been doing is problematic. Do you agree with me, or do you think he can just stay silent and quiet and stay in his home until Election Day?
Well, let me say I agree and disagree. On the disagree part, I would just say he hasn't sat down. He's actually laid out, I think, a pretty robust prospective agenda. Second is, you should sit down with journalists. They should be given the opportunity to ask you the questions. And I do also think that is actually, in my own view, a format the vice president has shown to be very welcoming to that format and shines in many ways. Now, who they pick to do it, how many times they pick to do it, that's up to them. But I think they've actually, and if now this is on the tactic part, I think they've made this election a pretty good election of Trump versus Trump, and Trump's not winning that. They've gone out, made speeches on climate change, made speeches, I think one's coming up on housing, one is on Buy America, et cetera, and then receded and let Donald Trump take more of the airtime and more of the views, and that's actually hurting Trump. But I do think there's going to be moments and times in the next 99 days that they should sit down with journalists and do a one-on-one, because that has been a format that actually accentuates, I think, Biden's compassion and strength. And it is, in the end of the day, it's not just policies, although the ideas value. There's a compassion to him and an empathy to him that only in that kind of setting can come forward, and I think that's a strength. And they'll make that decision. I don't think this is going to hold for 99 days, nor do they plan on doing it for 99 days.